What is going on, guys? This is Tony with Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always. And today, guys, we're gonna go back in time a bit. As you can probably tell here, we're looking at a Mercadian Masques set. And the reason I'm making this video is because Rudy from Alpha Investments recently bought a collection where he went through one of his favorite sets. And just kind of hearing the enjoyment and the fun that he had reminiscing, I thought that I would do the same. This is actually one of the first sets that this was the first set that I really locked into Magic the Gathering. I think I was like 12, 13 when it came out. I'd seen 6th edition cards, seen a couple sets before that. Pokemon was kind of a thing at the time, so it was kind of tough to move from Pokemon because I played the Game Boy game a lot. But it was tough to move from Pokemon to Magic at first, just because it was a lot more complex. And you're a younger kid. I didn't have someone older to teach me, so it was very tough to learn the game at first. But between 6th edition and 7th edition, we got the Mercadian block, and most importantly, SOB there, geese outside. You might hear it. He's gonna do what he can to ruin it. Let me close this window. God, waterfowl, man. I fucking hate him. Yeah, you can still hear him in the background. Anyways, so, back to the story. Between 6th edition and 7th edition, and that's when I really started playing. Got a couple of the pre-con decks, and the tournament packs. That was the other one that... Sorry, I had to close the other window. The tournament packs from back in the day were really what it was about. This is such a shitty start to the video that let's just hop right into it. This was the set that I really started to find my love for Magic. And I'm on this wonderful website here that you guys can see. And we're going to just kind of go with the pricing of cards, most expensive going down. Because I think that's the easiest way to identify some of the heat. So, just a little bit of a backstory. This Mercadian says from a time in Magic's history where they did 3 expansions per year, and it was in a block set, with the first one being the heaviest, generally about 330, 340 cards, and then the following 2 were generally like 140 to 150. And this was the format that they followed for a long time. So this set was the first one in their block, if you will, and it was pretty awesome in my opinion. A lot of good cards. So let's just go down the list here and just look at some of these. Food Chain. So fun fact, this is the only card in this entire set that I know I've never owned. Everything else I've owned at some point or another, whether swooping it up as a single or through trade, things like that. But this is the only card that has eluded my ownership. But of course, everyone knows that. That's a good EDH staple. The old R port. So that is a lot of people, and I think Rudy from Alpha Investments actually said this once too, that this is one of the examples of when a card on the reserve list, or a card that should be on the reserve list, isn't, and it's reprinted, and why we need the reserve list. So that's always kind of a interesting card to look at because it was reprinted, and I mean, hell, the price of these cards, like, you're gonna be amazed if you've never really looked back at how expensive. Look at that. Like, our port, so there was a time where it was hovering under 50 for, like, Dragon's Maze, things like that. But it spent a good amount of time over 50 bucks. Does have another printing, and that's why it's cheaper, is because it's got that other printing. Oh, bribery. I remember this. This was one of those cards that back in the day, you didn't have a ton of threats, and when you did have them, they were, there wasn't a ton of threats in your deck. A lot of it was that build up and protection, or at least that's how we played. Whenever someone cast this card, you knew that one of your absolute best creatures was donezo for the game, unless you had a way to get him back. Unmask. So one of the things that really fascinated me about this set is the way to kind of cheat in cards. Um, and Unmask is a great example. I think they did this, like, Weatherlight was the last set that they did it in before this, and it really doesn't get done too much. You look at companions now, and that's kind of an argument for why you can't break some of the basic rules of Magic in terms of casting cards. But at the time, this was a pretty cool little card. So I mean, I thought it was cool. Dust Bowl, everybody hates land destroyers. Conspiracy, I believe I pulled one of these bad boys in my mystery booster. Um, yeah, pretty straightforward cards here, guys. Black Market. Oh, I I loved this card because when you were learning to play Magic, phases and mana burn and drain and all of this, it really doesn't add up to you when you're a young kid just trying to learn how to play the game. So this was an abusable card. The old high market, that was a good one. If you had ways to steal creatures, bribery. You could, sack them and gain a life. Crackdown, that's a card you hate to see. That's a card you really hate to see. Trade routes, if you're looking to give up some lands, desperate to draw cards. Coastal Piracy, okay, I remember you. Puppets, Verdict. Flip a coin cards are always something I'm fascinated with. I've tried to make a few decks. I don't know. It's a really cool concept. I always liked it. This is probably my favorite card from the set. I may say that again, but Soothe Sane. Pulled one in the Mystery Booster box opening I did, but I've actually had this card for quite some time, or copies of the card, I should say. I love this card. I mean, simply put, look at it. For 1 blue, so if you draw it in your opening hand, boom. Um, it has the ability where X, you can look at the top X cards of your library, put them back in any order, and then 3 colorless and 2 blue, you can shuffle your library. I think that's massive value. And I'm really surprised actually as I see this here in about the middle of May. It's a $4 card. I know it just got a reprinting, but even that, I mean, that's a pretty good card. So yeah, I don't know. The old Fountain Watch. Fountain Watch. Guardian. They used to do cards that were Guardians, and now they don't anymore. It's a creature type they've gotten rid of. Old Squee. Sorry, got me a tasty beverage here. The old Lager from Boston. So, Squee is one of the kind of highlight characters, I think, from the Weatherlight saga. He was, not highlight characters, but he was one of the main characters, and, if you follow the channel, your boy loves him some goblins. Wave of Reckoning. I don't remember too much about this. I remember I hated it. And then again, Tectonic Break. Some of these, like, you have to be a real sick and sadistic human being in Magic the Gathering to sacrifice your own lands. I mean, you really have to just not give a fuck. But yeah, so just tons. Tower of the Magistrate. Good grief. Good grief. The old Misdirection. So there's some pretty cool stuff in here. Where is it? So, yep. Ancestral Mask. That was another one that easy to abuse card back in the day. Magistrates, there it is. So this card's seen a lot of up and downs throughout the years. It's been reprinted, things like that. But if you wanted to take an extra turn back in the day and you were trying to ball on a budget, that's where you went. There's that bad boy. Spider Silk Armor. So it was very common back in the day. This, along with Ancestral Mask, that was a pretty common kind of 1-2 punch that you would see people run in mono green decks, especially if they were just getting like the tournament packs or anything. You'd get these in just waves. The old Vernal Equinox. Excuse me. That was another one that, good God, I hated. Of course, Brainstorm. Back then, I didn't realize Brainstorm was that good. Some more cheating out card. Cool stuff there. Counterspell. That was a good one. So this was actually a card that I was always just I tried to keep this in every green deck I made. So again, when you go back to that Ancestral Mask and Spider Silk and all that, this card fell in. Gush, this is such a good card. Oh my goodness, I love this card. This is the card that I finally was like, I loved this card so much that I played Pauper for years. And this was one of the cards I always had to have in. It did get banned, but nonetheless, I loved the because you're returning 2 islands, so you are paying a heavy price. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, it's instinct. Yes, you only get 2 cards though, but you're returning 2 islands. That's huge. At the time, that was huge. Credit voucher. This was another card that I really loved. Back in the day, Magic was a lot slower, so cards like this actually were pretty playable, um, and pretty important actually to keep you from running into some bad situations. So, as you go down the list here, though, there's the oh god, the collective unconscious. This this did not go in the deck with all the enchantments. This went in a straight creature deck. Simple as that. You did get the um, cycle here of the mana rocks. Sappers in the air. This was another good one. Didn't want to block this girl. If you could figure out ways to enchant her, though, it's worth it. So yeah, we just kind of, going down the line. I believe Chalmano. Where is that old stick in the mud? The old Chalmano, maybe it's down further. I'd be surprised if that's that much cheaper. Yeah. Oh gosh, Ivory Mask. So that was one of the original ways to give yourself protection. That was a game winner way back when. Oh, I loved the land cycle. The depletion counters on all the lands, those were pretty cool. Able to double them up. I didn't really care for Crooked Scales. Chalmano's Blessing, that was always a fun one. So yeah, I mean, there's so many good cards. Where is it? War Tax? Yep. So check this out. For 2 blue, or let me try that again. For 2 colorless and 1 blue, you get this enchantment out, and you can pay X and 1 blue. Creatures can't attack this turn unless their controller pays X for each attacking creature. Okay. Yep. 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 Story Circle. So if you want, just choose a color. Dark Ritual. There you go. Land Grant. That was another cheat. Another cheat. So here's another one. So this is the first like Pestilence Demon type card. Thrashing Wumpus. So it was Pestilence on a creature basically, and that really changed a lot of things because people were able to keep the creatures, keep their one creature out. So now I have a few more creatures here, or a few more cards here that before I get into them, I want to just, again, these are cards that were really important to me as I grew up playing Magic. Monkey Cage, think about, um, think about what I said earlier, where it's, you didn't have a ton of big creature cards, but if you could time this card right, I mean, you could get some payoff. And 5 mana, if you could get 3 or 4 of those 2/2 apes, way back when, it's not bad. All right, so the other cards I want to talk about, the Furicate. So yeah, any casual deck, like I understand that it has to be a copy, but you're talking about a 3 colorless, 1 green sorcery. Search your library for a copy of target creature card in play and put that card into play. Search your library, then shuffle your library. So uh, there's all kinds of decks that you could abuse this with. I mean, Jesus, guys, come on. And how much is it? 50 cents. Good grief. So here's the other one, Chalmano Revolutionary. Back in the day, this was a pain in the ass to deal with. The best man at my wedding loved this card for a very long time. I'm sure he still plays it because he doesn't change his decks ever. Um, but this was a really powerful card. Pretty straightforward legendary creature that would prevent all damage dealt to it. So That, I mean, I'm not really going to go through all of these. There's a couple other cards I wanted to highlight if I find them. The Mercenaries and the Rebels were really big in this set. Um, I mean, they were really big. And there's a lot of abilities that actually, as we come down here, I'm sure I can find. Um, oh, that was a good card. I'm looking for the War Drums, because what do we have up here? Where's there's that War Drums, there's another one. Anyways, um, let's see. Oh, Foster, good grief. I wasted so much time trying to make that card work. Brawl, that was a good one. That was a good one. But yeah, so there's things like Rebels, Mercenaries, and they each had abilities where they could search for more of the same creature type to kind of help build up. There it is, War Cadence. God, I kept saying War Drums. So this is the other one to War Drums where it's basically the red version and they can't block this turn. Love this card, and it's 35 cents. How can you not afford to get it? I don't care how corny that sounds. It's a good card. Here's another one where if you can figure out a way to get some damage dealt to your creature, it's pretty nice. I want to find some of these. Oh God, Renounce! Guys, if you are not playing this card, play it. 25-cent card. It is a 2 converted mana cost, 1 colorless, 1 white instant. If someone's gonna board wipe, sack the instance or sack the permanents and gain 2 life for each one. Yep, okay, I can do that. Yep, yep. Alright, so here we go. So yeah, this is kind of the idea around what they had, Mercenary and Rebels, where you could search for one that was like 1 up or 1 down from it, and they just kind of helped grow on the field. So that was kind of the gimmicky part, but I really felt like this set overall was just so fun. Um, Again, some of my favorite cards of Magic I think are in here. Soothsaying is definitely a top 10 card for me. 100% not gonna lie. Arport, say what you will about it. I think the reprint was needed. I don't think the cards really should be like. I don't think cards from this era of Magic should be over $100. Um, I just that's another day, another video. That's a very open-ended comment I'm saying, but I just don't believe that those kinds of cards. I understand it was legacy, vintage, and EDH. That's what drives the price on this. So I don't understand why we wouldn't want more copies of it because those formats would struggle. But again, I said I wouldn't do it. Um, but yeah, a lot of really good cards, a lot of memories. I mean, I remember people playing a lot of these cards. Because again, turning 12, 13 years old as this set comes out, you get to play it. Um, it's the one that's easiest and most accessible. You're basically asking your parents, hey, go buy me a Magic the Gathering product. And what I would generally get is the tournament packs uh, or a pre-con deck. And, you just open it up and crack it down, right? So overall, this set was I read some of the reviews on it here before I did this video, and the set was received okay. Kind of considered middle of the road, but if you just look at the top here, the top of the arc in terms of price, I'm not even going on rarity or card name. I'm going based on the price. I mean, you see some really like that's the first. I believe that's the first time that card was printed. That's one of the main characters of one of the most popular storylines in the history of Magic. So it's not like these guys printed a bad set. One of my least favorite things, though, about this is that Mark Rosewater was one of the lead designers on it. He wasn't the lead, but he was one of the head designers on it. And I really enjoyed this set. I mean, I really did. Because even like if we go down to the bottom and look at some of the just trash cards, I thought there was some really cool stuff that even like new Magic players could get behind and figure out ways to play the game. Like there's a lot of different things in here. Flailing Soldier, like that's a pretty cool ability. And there was a lot of weird interactions where players could play the abilities, things like that. Um, but even like I just felt like even on the common side and on the lower end, Tranquility, that was a really good card. Tremor, I mean, just there's a lot of really good cards. I used to think this card was so cool back in the day. Where these lower end cards, they're still pretty powerful. I mean, they're still pretty decent. So I don't know. That was, I mean, again, perspective, maybe a little nostalgia. I don't know. Like this, I mean, a 2/2, granted it's white, but you didn't do a lot of color mixing. Um, there wasn't a lot of color mixing, at least in my play group, because we were just trying to figure out how to play the damn game. So yeah, I mean, just really cool stuff. Pretty awesome. They had the spell shapers, of course, where you would discard a card and you'd get to do something. I think the black one was like they all cost 3, but the black one was just 1. It cost 1 black, and you would discard a card, and then you basically dark ritual. The old soothing balm. Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed this set. I thought it was really fun. A lot of interesting and just kind of just weird things like even this ruse where you're gonna pay 2, you're gonna pay 2 life to give your creature +2/+0 till the end of turn. And just like I said, just fun stuff. Sever Soul. I still have a foil of this from when I opened them. God, just reminiscing on all this stuff. I played the Mercenaries a lot. Um, I always thought they were pretty cool. Again, young player, but I used to enjoy it. And Magic was slow enough then where, if you were a younger player and people weren't trying to wreck you, you could get in and play some of those cards. So there you go, guys. I'm going to do a few more of these on other sets that mean a lot to me for different reasons. Oh, Muzzle. I still have a foil of this one. Muzzle your bitch. That used to be what we'd say. Muzzle your bitch. I don't care. Censor me. Oh, God, the runner. Port Inspector. Yep. Nobody wanted to block this. So that was who you, because again, you just think about it. There isn't a lot of ways to look at your opponent's hand. But no, I'm going to do some other videos on other sets that mean a lot to me or that I think are pretty cool even. And I wanted to start with really the set that drew me into Magic permanently and the set that really made me learn some of the nuances of the game and want to be a better Magic player. And that's a truth. That's a 100% truth, is that this is a set that I really struggled going into it, 6th edition and what came before that, and I was playing Pokemon. This set really changed all that for me. It really did. I think that where we looked at the bottom there's a lot of real easy cards to interact with your opponents and with players and play spells and figure out kind of how to. Because one of the things that sucks is that as a new player, you're trying to figure out when and how to cast some of these cards, and because of some of the complexities of them, it can be intimidating. So I really thought it was great. I really did. You know, I would love to figure out a way to do like a draft of this set with a couple of friends. Like I think that would be amazing. Um, just some shit like that. But again, the game was a lot slower. We didn't have access to the same kind of mana that these kids are using today, where it's these tri-lands, get off my yard, yelling at the clouds. So, but I appreciate you guys watching this. If you could do me a favor though, and put in the comments what your favorite set is. Maybe I can do a video on that. I always like to hear that. I don't get a ton of comments right now, but if you could do me that solid, maybe even like and share this damn video, but tell me what sets you guys like, and maybe we could do one of those next. I think for the next one, I'm going to choose one that's a little bit smaller of a set, because 330 cards is a big one. So, There you go, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Tony K. This is Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always.